Hey,
let me move
Nico
chats
is
away.
sharing something interesting that he's working on.
Just a sec. I managed to do a mess here. Don't you hate when you move desktop around and you end up splitting stuff in 3-4 pieces, like three windows on the same?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's the one share. There you go. So as a matter of fact, I'm working on UI that changes a lot, and I have a lot of screenshots that I need to maintain, and it annoys the end out of me because they need to be precise, they need to have the correct data, blah, 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 blah. And so I thought, we have our capybara tests that they are actually loading the page, right? Why can't they take a screenshot? They take a screenshot when they fail. So now take a screenshot when I ask you to. And then I thought that we have fixtures for the front end, right? Where we specify the path on the title and it will generate a JSON. And so I put the two things together and basically I have this. So this is the syntax that you will go and writing. So this is every it block. It's a screenshot, right?
Yeah.
And with two different methods, you just need to use set crop data if you want, so that you can zoom down to an element. And otherwise it will take the full page. And so this is a proof of concept AMR, and this is a whole screenshot taken by the code, right? And it's also very good because you can control the kind of data that you're putting in. You don't need to destroy your GDK and stuff to have a proper screenshot, awesome. Because you can use mock data for doing so. And you code it once, probably it's a little bit of overhead, but then it's done. It will keep running every time the UI updates. Poof, you run it. Yeah. And the thing that is missing here is to attach the rake command that also run PNG quaint that would like compress them. And then you're done. They're basically working. I'm actually using this to regenerate the screenshot. I check out the branch, rebase it, and use it.
Just wanted to add that the technical writing team usually asks you to update the screenshots with the milestone that you updated the screenshots in the file name.
But so, if you're going to do it automatically, you don't really need a milestone, do you? Because they use it to keep track of it, right?
Yeah, but I'd say we should probably ask, and we could just add the milestone as part of the command line, as a command line argument. So
that's true. I did involve the technical writer team before even like thinking about moving on, and they are on board on this as long as we don't use this tool as an excuse to add the useless screenshots to the documentation, right? Because the idea is that they should be kept to a minimum, and it doesn't matter 1 or 300. This thing, once it's done, is done. So
I see.
But there is a.
She suggests. They are suggesting doing not using this to have more and more screenshots. We still don't want to have a whole lot of. We don't want to lean on screenshots a lot in our documentation. That makes sense. Yeah, no, I think that is a really cool. This is really cool and really helpful. I would, try to get. Have you asked? I don't know his first name. E. Reed. Is it Eric or?
Evan Reed.
Evan, is that his name?
I think so.
He may be aware of, or Achilles. He may be aware of caching issues with if we overwrite images, and that might be what Jose is touching on too. Why? Because technically these documentations are hosted on one site, and you can go back to different milestones and versions, and so that might be why you do need to prefix it. So I would try to get someone that's really aware of the caching behavior of multiple versions and see if this would cause an issue of.
But we can add the milestone.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's not a problem, but yeah, that's really cool. So this is working.
Yes, but there is one issue.
Okay.
So this, you see, otherwise I would have finalized it, right?
Yeah.
So you see, this is not a feature test, so I didn't call it spec, okay? Because it's not a spec. It's something that is used in the spec. But if I move it out from the feature folder, this thing completely stopped working because RSpec / capybara, I don't know all the magic that is going on here, is doing stuff folder based. So
Yep.
as soon as I move it out from the feature folder, it stops being a capybara test. It becomes a normal RSpec test, and then we don't have all the helper that we actually need because we need capybara to be running here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You're gonna probably have to create a new helper for that because you're using the spec helper, and the spec helper has all the start of code that Capybara needs to run in that specific folder. So if we take a look at the spec helper, inside the spec helper, I think there's another call to another file. You will probably probably see the entire thing, how it runs. Yeah, that's the thing. So it says in Rails environment, which is a test environment, and it says every single dependency that Capybara will need to run the tests. So in this case, we have the mocks, Rails, and everything for our spec, among other things. So
but the spec helper is still in the spec folder. I think it's fine to leave it in the spec folder, just not in the feature test folder, right?
Yeah, you could probably do that, but another suggestion you could probably ask someone from the engineering productivity team. I think Remy, because Remy knows a whole lot about this file. Mm-hmm. He might probably guide you in the right path to actually create a file specific to the screenshots, because this uses a whole lot of dependencies like logging, active record helpers, and that involves the database. And as you know, that database can be like a real bottleneck when it comes to specs.
But that's fine. I mean, we really need to run as the same thing as a feature test.
Yeah,
it should run in the same way, because the idea is that you are able actually to take your feature spec, right, bring it here, reconfigure them a little bit, and you're done and you move on, right?
So I think there's two, from what I see two things that could be really helpful at improving the usability of this. And one is because database is slow, rather than having one spec per screenshot, let me do one big walkthrough of and then save a screenshot at different points. That could be really, really helpful. Because
within every spec is clearing the DB and moving on.
Yeah, because we clean everything out, we build everything back again, and for this kind of thing, that's not needed. Like that's needed for tests. We're just want to generate screenshots, and so let's do. If we have just one big walkthrough of like, okay, I want to get a screenshot here and then here and then here, that could be that can help with the speed of it. And then two, if we can move it outside the features folder, that'd be great.
No, it has to move outside because I think it is, is it wrong? It's not meaningful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's easy. So now it's configured in a way that it does a lot of things to like make it as easy as possible, but we can just extract this method not to run after every test and just run it whenever you call them inside the test.
Do you think do you think that would be helpful? Or do you think that having one per image is the right way to go? Like there's a little bit of a trade-off here, but I feel like in this context, it might be nicer to have one big walkthrough.
Yeah, I was simply following how we make like our fixture on the front end.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a neat idea to have it the title of the test so that you can easily pinpoint. And this take what? I think the full container register run takes 40 seconds with Spring Hub. Considering the fact that we don't also need to like have few million screenshots going on. Another thing is, can we make this an optional helper that attaches to your feature test? So that you will produce the screenshot directly in the feature test. But I don't know, I'm afraid that too much magic is too much magic.
Well, our feature tests do screenshots when they fail. And so that's kind of when it's helpful. But, it's also helpful when they don't fail if something looks really wonky. This is really interesting. This is really interesting. I kind of wonder too, like, so we're going to manually run these, right?
Yeah, with a rake task, right?
Right. I could see, yeah, so it's super helpful. Just something to just be in mind since CI doesn't run it, like it's very possible that these things get out of style too. I mean, like that they fail. And then the next time we run it, it's like, oh, someone introduced a breaking change to the application flow and now I got to try to fix it or whatever. Like that could be the downside to this, but automating it and automating almost anything can be helpful. So I see this is still helpful. I think it's cool. Yeah. I really want to know what makes features so special. I want to know why features are special. That's bothering me now.
So I dig a little bit into this. Basically, you have like different types of tests, and you can, when we do like JS here, you could also write feature here according to the documentation. But if you do that outside of the feature folder,
it doesn't
work.
Is this a?
I saw which configuration thing. It's the one we're looking for. It's called RSpec type from file location.
That's amazing.
So
where is the file?
In that one, in the spec helper.
So introspect, no?
I pasted the command
in the chat.
Infer, INF.
Infer, okay.
So basically, setting that property there is telling which type of spec you're running on which folder.
You found it, Jose. This is it.
So what we need to do, and what could probably do, but I mean, this might not be, create a new, we could probably create a new spec helper. And that spec helper, we can just probably, I don't know,
so
create a new.
I would wrap this one. So we would do this by default, but if we're in doc screenshots, we want to return a specific value, but then fall back to the default.
Yeah. So basically how RSpec works is that if you set which type of test you're running, even though the file is not exactly in the folder you want, it will run as that specific type of test. So in this case, since it's a feature test, technically, your screenshot helper, you need to add type column feature.
Well, you can just write feature, I guess, right?
I guess.
So let's
if you want to set metadata for a custom directory, yeah, it's all here. I'm going to share this on our chat, but I'm going to share this on the chat and then visit it so that we can all be looking at the same thing. Nico.
Yep, this one.
Yeah, if you scroll down, so that's the canonical structure. Automatically adding data. Go back, go up. That one. Set type for serializers directory. So if you want to set metadata for a custom directory that doesn't follow the canonical structure above, do the following. And then I think at the end of it, you still do infer spec type from location. So we can specify this directory has this special meaning.
I think I saw something like that in the spec helper. There is something.
Oh, we do. It's right there. Define derived metadata with EE is in there. Yeah, so we're going to do kind of the same thing.
I wonder if this is going to run in CI. That's the other question, because spec helper.
What if you don't call it spec? Will it run on CI regardless? Okay, that's what's happening here.
Yeah, it shouldn't run if it's not underscore spec, I think. I don't think it's going to be found then. Because we have like underscore helpers that just are imported and don't run.
The funny thing is that I can't find the... I'm on the correct branch. Yes.
You can try running... if you just want to run our entire RSpec suite, We can see if it shows up.
Well, that's not going to be
I'm
real
joking.
quick. Okay. For a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, doc screenshot. So if I take this and I move it in the spec folder, right?
Oh man. Okay.
Requires
Hopefully
spec helper.
so all that should still be fine. I think now what we want to do is change the type that it infers.
It's already a feature, so it's a feature type test.
Yeah, but we need to bring the helper, I guess, that we are using. Doc screenshot helper.
That should be fine. It should be able to find all those.
Yep.
Okay, but we didn't change anything here. Right?
Yes, right.
So we need to add something to this regex, right?
Oh boy, rejects.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know if we need to add something to this one. Is that what we're doing?
I think that's one is for EE. I think we can probably create a new.
Oh, but it's saying EE is optional. So maybe this one is for all of our specs.
Spec. Yeah, it's speaking. Well, okay, so it's taking.
Oh, it says do not override type if it's already set. Yes. Okay. So this is for all _spec stuff. We can manually set the type. It's allowing us to do some of that fancy stuff. But since ours is not _spec, we're not getting any of these benefits like we can do features. We need to, though, I would say let's config it's a feature spec from here. Let's try not to touch anything else. Yeah, I would just do a brand new one, a config define derived metadata.
We should probably add a suffix for this specific type of file. Maybe like
that's a good idea, like _docs.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yes, let's do that.
Oh boy, I need to change a light.
Like this.
Oh, I lost you. Oh yeah, that looks great.
So flat path equal.
Or maybe we should call it _shots.
I'm
just overthinking it now.
That could be probably really misconstrued. People would probably think, what?
I'm going to brutally copy this because I'm horrible with regex in JavaScript. Imagine in Ruby.
I think you could just go anything _docs. Right?
Just
_spec, yeah, that one. Docs. You will have to change your files to include that specific suffix.
Yeah. There you go. There is only one for now.
Nice.
So I suppose we need to end this block and what do we want to configure?
I think we want to do
here?
metadata type feature.
Like this?
Yep. No, we just feature.
Not
metadata type equals the feature symbol thing.
Yeah, like this.
I think so.
If I don't introduce 500 typos in the process. Yeah. Apologies.
Yeah,
but here is not done feature, right? Key schema migration. It's doing it here, I guess.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I don't know what singular is using does, but
well, so they're actually matching the first folder. You see what they're doing? They're matching the first folder.
And that's why it was working by being under feature, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yep, that's why.
Let me bring in a terminal.
Oh my gosh, something crazy is going outside. I think that's for me though. Oh, this is for one of you. Oh no, yeah, it's on you.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh geez, I think this branch is too behind my GDK.
Oh, is it still? It's not still under features, is it?
No, it's a problem that is not finding jittery the version and when I started this branch. This is probably 5,000 commit behind because I started this in 13.0 and then I had to pause it until now. We'll see now. 6,000. Sorry.
Man, so I kind of wonder. I wonder what would this look like if it's not attached to the database and all that? Like, what would it look like if we were able to just load it up and seed some dummy data? Oh, I know what it would look like. That's this mock server stuff that I'm working on. We could totally it makes dumb faked API calls, runs on a real browser.
You mean you would like to use the integration test
We
API
could.
to
We could.
screenshot?
And it could just decouple us from having to have the right GitLab version and things like that. But that's down the road. It's not nothing we need to do right now.
My first idea was to use Cypress to do so because it's insanely easy.
Yeah.
But then all this thing to do login, to navigate around, it's tons of helper that we already have. So
yeah, that's kind of what I was realizing too. With Capybara is actually kind of nice.
Because it's integrated with Rails, right?
Yeah, that's helpful.
Undefined method described for main object. So it's not understanding what describe is.
I think the metadata configuration that we did is not working because describe is just part of RSpec. That means it can't tell if the file that you're running is a test or not, basically.
Yeah.
And so?
Because what I'm seeing, like on the currently defined the right metadata, mm-hmm. It says metadata and it says level. So I'm thinking we're probably not overriding the correct type of, I'm not sure if it's a different property or something, but I think where it says metadata type, we should probably do metadata feature there and set a configuration.
But here it does metadata type equal the folder name. And actually says metadata key type. So,
but what it's doing there, it's basically saying add a specific type to each folder because each folder is plural. So we have spec features. So instead of that, saying for this particular spec file, if it resides in the features folder, it will just say, you know what, this type is features. I'm sorry. If this resides in features, just singularize that feature and add that as the metadata for this. So yeah, it's tricky.
Aren't we missing this?
Quality level. I don't know what quality level is for.
Can we add some logs here to see what's actually getting hit or not?
Like this?
I don't know what binding probably does as much as, yeah, we could do that. I was thinking we could do some puts.
At that point, binding probably I think is faster.
You're probably right.
And it doesn't reach there though.
I don't know. Yeah, so maybe this isn't doing the thing that we think it's doing.
It's probably not going inside this block.
Yeah.
Or maybe can you call this 2 times? I guess yes, right?
Oh man, yeah, you should be able to call it 2 times. I would expect it to go inside that block. It's weird that it's not.
Maybe Spring, you mean?
Oh, are you using Spring?
Yeah, try it out.
Yeah, we should try it without it, maybe.
But I mean, that's not a source file. But maybe. Oh boy, without Spring, it's an interesting game.
It actually has to read the files.
That would take a while.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly weird. Model specs, feature specs.
I'm interested to see what is this quality level, where it does come from. Quality test level. Okay.
Oh, interesting. So it's basically for, I think it's for the QA specs probably. So we probably don't need that. And field location. So it's saying that the specific for the API types, it should be true if they reside in the API folder.
Yeah.
So that one is that. One is for migrations. The other one is for schema. Oh boy, I wish we could test for schemas in Vue. like
So did any of this make a difference at all? Like, are we getting a different error with this? So it's not even getting hit. This isn't doing anything.
Yeah. Unless, did they wrote the regex wrong?
Can we try something really crazy?
Inside here?
No, can we try renaming our container registry docs to container registry docs spec?
This will fail differently. Oh.
Did it just fail? Oh.
No.
You're like, I'm not waiting that long again.
No.
No examples found. Undefined method described. And
so this spec helper is inside spec. Requires spec helper should go, no problem, right?
Yep.
I'm looking for this.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Should we just quickly drop it back in?
There should be something. So describe is part of RSpec module. So you could do RSpec.describe probably. But for some reason, we're not including RSpec. Like we're not even getting there.
But I mean, everything is run by RSpec. Why is not going through?
We could try to binding pry at the beginning of spec helper and just step through it, and maybe we're stopping early. Yeah.
Okay. You know, instead of stepping through, should we see if it actually entered inside this block?
We can add like breakpoints and stuff. Can we through binding pry?
Yeah, but I don't remember how to do so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know how to do it either.
The binding pry, you need to run GDK thin, but the problem is that the GDK thin command is meant for when you run your mail server. I'm not sure
we are inside pry. No, with respect, you can use it anytime. We are inside pry. They just don't know.
You can just type next. I forgot.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's just go, and then you can do. But if we want to jump into something, we can jump in.
You can always type help, and it will tell you which commands.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Look how helpful that is.
Sorry, I totally lost track of what we were doing.
No, you're good. But I'm pretty sure you can like.
We could probably, if you set binding pry to the metadata configuration,
Yeah,
you
that's
can
what I
probably
wanted to
use
do.
continue, and it will break again where if it encounters
No,
the binding pry.
will you find it? No, I think no.
I'd say just keep going next. Oh, okay.
I wrote continue, and I
Yeah.
move it inside the metadata now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's hit. I don't think I'm guessing that none of that RSpec config stuff is even getting hit. Because I was thinking that we might be.
So because this thing is inside the RSpec configure, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like variable console log style.
That's the way to do it.
If any of the backend engineer is gonna watch this recording,
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're gonna be like, my goodness, I can't believe we give them computers.
Come in peace, backend engineers. They're just trying to learn.
I know.
We come in peace.
So
it
goes inside. Yeah, we are here now, line 61. Unless MCI, this is a separate block. That's weird. So if I do next, 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 let's see where it goes out at this point, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's the code. Can't I step into? Okay, whatever. Next. This is our stuff.
Yep. So yeah, it's including all those things, which is great.
You can do the same as your terminal. I think you can just press up.
Yeah. I realized that I was being very dumb. Apologies.
No, don't worry about it. I thought you could use the tip.
Okay, before suit.
After, prepend, before, append, after. Interesting.
Okay, I think I was looking around at some of our pre-existing specs. I think we might have. I think our spec might have some issues. I think we need to start with RSpec.describe. I'm seeing a lot of specs start that way.
Really? But this was working when it was in the feature folder, but sure.
I know.
Like this? There you go.
I think so. And if that's all we need to do, then I think we're pretty good.
And apologies.
No, you're good. Let's try it out.
It's all good. We're all learning here.
The funny thing is that I asked some backend engineer around. They are not so sure either.
It's funny how just so much convention is around Rails and the whole Rails ecosystem, but it's can be quite configurable.
It's a different error, much better.
Oh, unknown testing level.
So what if I put it back to docs and we have our own test level set up by this?
What in the world does testing level mean?
Testing level is feature. Yeah, it's that one.
Oh, what are we doing set and type?
Sorry, ours. Hey, I said command. Jeez, this slow.
Like, how does this work for our fixture stuff? You know, is that a Rails thing too?
I think so, because Capybara can read fixtures. It has the necessary commands to do that, but
my goodness,
that is a lot of convention.
I was about to say.
Wait, I'm gonna Google the error. Test level 4. The test level in. Oh, well. Lead quality test
so
level.
we need to add the test level quality. Interesting. So this is very specific to GitLab, it seems.
There you go. So we need to put ourselves here in system.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, maybe instead of feature here, it should be system, to be honest. Right?
So my question is, how come do fixtures need to do this? And because ours, I would think, are kind of under the fixture world, like saying that this is a
Yeah,
feature.
but it needs to load Capybara, right?
Fixtures, oh, do they not? Maybe they don't.
No. They just run the controllers or the models directly.
Good call.
But this is actually the folder path, right? So if I go here and do comma and say, how did we call this? Doc screenshots, right? I guess. Docs screenshot. Jesus, I'm horrible with name. Right?
Sure, that looks great.
Yep.
You could call it shots.
I still think that name can be heavily misconstrued.
Yeah. So here under the system level, we have our feature specs and our shot specs. What was Nico thinking?
Yeah. I mean, we can do that, and then I'm gonna put co-author.
I see it.
Well,
this is a good sign, right?
Yeah, at least it's not crashing. Oh,
cool.
It's doing it.
Wow, it's starting the Capybara server.
Okay.
That invisible stuff I see often.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, since when we upgraded Rails, right? Rails? I know it's Bootstrap.
I don't know. It's a Bootstrap issue, but maybe we're running some sort of linting thing. I see it in the GDK tail, like.
Or it's probably because we're running Bootstrap in development mode and it has those warnings on.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good point.
No. All of them failed. Oh no.
Yeah, because it's not finding the Capybara methods, I guess. Or
really?
Undefined method host for new class.
Oh yeah, that's probably Capybara. Well,
is it Capybara or it's one of our special?
I think it's Capybara because host is the Chrome driver configuration thing.
Page. See.
Yeah, that's all the Chrome driver things. So we need to find a way to tell the Chrome driver, hey, all docs screenshots also need the Chrome driver to run here, so Capybara can actually use it.
Yeah, but where is this defined? That's the thing.
Good question.
Can we try one thing? Go back to the spec helper.
Yes.
And in our new config.
But this we are not using it now because we did call it back spec, right? Maybe I should call it docs.
Well, I guess so. I guess it wasn't working in the first place.
It's not working as soon as you pull it out from the feature folder. If it's in feature folder, it works perfectly. But let's try.
Yeah, so I was wanting to say, hey, if we set the type here and we set the we got to set the system thing. Or no, that's already there, I guess. But I think the type actually needs to be features because that matches our folder name and that other thing that was there.
But here you call it feature. So.
I don't know. But on test level, it says features, right?
But this is the folder.
I don't know.
And then it's singularized, right? If you go in the, here it does to
that's what singularized means. Okay, you're right.
Yep.
Good point.
Yeah, it went in again with docs. Let's see if it fails. Oh, geez.
Well, that's cool.
Spent 40 minutes on this.
it's good to pair with this kind of stuff because capybara is slow. Like this kind of stuff, I lose focus, and I think it's helpful being with others because they help you stay focused.
Mm.
Yay!
Woohoo!
What? Okay.
Nice. Wow. Okay.
So what was the thing that changed? It kind of got blurry for me.
So the only thing that we did is that we swapped it to this define by calling it docs. And so we
because
are
of the suffix.
that's what's happening. Yes, because it's not in feature folder. It wasn't getting the right type.
Yep.
Right, because we called it spec. Right, that makes sense. So it was saying its type was doc screenshot or whatever. So we probably don't need. Oh, but I bet we do need that test level thing because that's the only difference.
That we do for sure. I'm wondering if we do need feature here. That's right. I don't know. Is it for you too that when you save an RSpec and a Ruby file, it takes, I don't know, 10 seconds to save because the linter needs to run?
No, I don't experience this at all.
Okay, it's just me. My computer is telling me you shall not touch Ruby files. Every time you do, the MR lasts 25 times longer than when you touch JavaScript.
Yeah.
Guess why?
Yeah, no, that's not on me. Do you have like a Ruby extension for VS Code or something?
Yeah, I think I need to look into that. But anyhow, I don't have much time to play with Ruby anymore in my life.
Well, I think like I run ESLint and Prettier on save, but I wouldn't do that with Ruby. And it's probably because I don't write a lot of Ruby.
Yeah, I used to help out a little bit with backend stuff, but now that I'm alone, as the only frontender of the stage, you can imagine that there is no time to do so.
Yep. Yep.
Capybara starting Puma.
Woohoo!
Okay, it works.
Nice.
Cool.
Perfect. Okay, so if you have experience on writing rake comment, we can wrap this up.
That's way beyond. Like, I think already this is a huge achievement.
Yeah, this works for me, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder though. So the other bit that we were talking about was writing one big spec versus a bunch of different ones. I just want to know what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that there's a win there, or do you think that could end up being more costly?
So the thing is just how we do cropping. So to actually do crop, you can't take a screenshot of a piece with our Chrome driver.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing is that I'm extracting the bounding box of the element that you want, passing to the helper, and the helper is then actually cutting the picture itself with image magic. So I'm not sure that it would have a huge performance boost by doing I/O to the disk in between the spec. I don't know if we start having like failures, and because that's blocking, right?
That's a good point. Sure. Now, and at the same time, we're also encouraged not to have a lot of screenshots and docs. So,
correct.
What would be really cool to talk about was, okay, how could I then use this so that this can run in the pipeline just for my MR? Like,
yeah, it would be something like GitLab UI does, right? So it should have a pipeline that runs, picks the MR, and updates the MR with the screenshots, correct?
So basically the same thing as we do for GitLab UI, but with RSpec.
Yeah.
So
I think it can be the next step, right?
But maybe, because then the thought I'm thinking is, well, why am I just doing this just for the MR? Why don't I keep it in master? Why don't we have a screenshot test?
No, because the tech writer team wants to still have a say before the screenshot goes in.
Not for docs. I'm talking about now we're actually using this for testing. My first thoughts is like, okay, how can we take this that we're doing for docs and let's do it for MRs so that the screenshots in the MR are up to date or whatever. And now I'm thinking, well, the
Visual
screenshots,
regression.
yeah. So it's kind of for, yeah, like why take screenshots just for the MR? Why don't we just leave it on master? And then I'm thinking, well, that's kind of what Storybook was supposed to be. So maybe we need to actually, what were you gonna say, Jose?
I was just thinking, if we want to do every single screenshot at master, we kind of miss the point of actually having revisions on documentation.
Yeah, no, but he was saying just to do visual revision, right? To like visual regression, like compare the pixel difference between the two pictures and this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So this is,
but yeah, I think, sorry to cut you off. I think for a UI library, it makes a lot of sense. For an application visual regression, it may be overshoot. It may be like important to do in few parts, like very selected few parts, I don't know, issues and MRs, because those are like the staple point of the rollup. But I wouldn't introduce this like big thing for the MRs, like to have screenshot to put in the MR so it's easy to like see what's happening. I think that's another nice step, but it will also means that every MR needs to have one block like this coded, right? So I don't know. My idea is let's have this running as an option. So because now the workflow, if you want to update the docs, is that you fire the GDK, you navigate manually, you take a screenshot, you then run PNG quaint, and then change the thing and update it. And this is a long thing. Now we are replacing all of this in you run one command, one rake task, and commit, which is already a huge game, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, we're talking. So to reiterate, I'm not talking about anything doc specifically right now, but reusing this idea for application visual screenshot testing. But I kind of feel like something like Storybook is more applicable there, but maybe for some of those high profile pages and views, we should do one big screenshot, because just the number of visual regressions we get because of little CSS stuff, it hurts, and you have to do so much manual testing. Even though keeping these things up to date is a cost, it might actually end up be less of a cost if it can catch things. So I think we just have to do it really smart, but it's cool that we have this here. I like this a lot. So I have another question for you. You push all this up. What's to prevent a community contributor from saying, "Oh, I need to make a docs update. Here's the new screenshot. They generated it manually and they overwrote whatever they did, and they didn't use this." Is that problematic?
No.
And how can we also make it very visible, so for the community contributor to be like, "Oh, hey, use this thing," instead of generating it manually?
Well, I think this should be a process-wise. Like we put this on the docs, and then whenever if the tech writer team like this solution, they are gonna be the ones, like as maintainer, like we push tooling on review and say, "Hey, I see that you generate a screenshot manually. You have half of the performance bar cut in, and that the data is not perfectly good." Because they already go in and say, "Hey, you generate a screenshot, you need to run PG and query." So instead of saying that, they could say, "Hey, run screenshot generator and let the screenshot updated," right? It's the same. I think the baby steps in this is important.
Could we add a comment in the markdown that uses this to just like, hey, for some traceability of like, hey, these were generated using.
You mean wherever we use them? Yeah. It could be a best practice, especially if you want to start with this.
Maybe we can actually end up putting them in a folder or something called generated, and that kind of just prods whoever's looking at it like, hey, these are generated, and try to use that thing.
We could probably do what the SRE team does for the, what's it called? For the Grafana dashboards. They use JSONnet to generate their own Grafana dashboards. And JSONnet, when it runs, it creates a comment at the top of each Grafana file that says, hey, do not do this manually. If you change this, rerun the script so all of these changes are reflected correctly in Grafana. So we can do what you say, Paul. We can just have the folder generated and create a README in that folder and say all of these files are generated in.
I love it. I love it.
Particular script.
And the root folder can be configured in the helper, so there is no mismatching. Just I need to run in the next meeting. I'm going to ping you on the Mars so we can continue this conversation there.
Awesome. All right. This was great. This was a lot of fun. We still got to do real stuff. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.